I didn't. I had no family. And, I had no place to go just to have a roof over my head. Of course, a lot of people said, well, why didn't you go and get a job in a 10-cent store? Something like that. And because I didn't have a high school education, they wouldn't accept me. That's not true. Neither are true. My mother's first husband was named Baker. Her second husband was Mortensen, but she was long since divorced when I was born. So, on my birth certificate, I believe it says profession, Baker. So she was just trying to think quickly, I guess, and said Baker. Well, in all my school records, it was Norma Jean Baker. In fact, I was always told, by the way, when I was very young, that my father was killed in an automobile accident in New York before I was born. When I was very young, I was told that. Yes.
As regards your mother, to you she was just a woman with a red hair.
Actually, she was. You see, when I was very young, I called every woman I would see. I'd say, "Oh, there's a mama." And if I would see a man, I'd say, "There's a daddy," or "Papa," I guess you say in French. So, to learn that she was my mother was quite a shock. You know, it was the woman with the red hair. The people I was staying with, I was about 3, and one morning I was having a bath, actually, and I referred to the woman as Mama, and she said, "I'm not your mother. The one who comes here with the red hair and so forth, she's your mother. Don't call me mother anymore. Call me Aunt so-and-so." But the one I was concerned was her husband. I says, "But he's my daddy." She said, "No. You call him Uncle so-and-so," although they weren't my aunt and uncle. I never lived with my mother. I don't know about the 12 days old. I don't remember, but I know I was very young.
Did you ever see that?
No. I used to ask where my mother was when I don't know, it was about, when I was put in the orphan's home, and I refused to go into the orphan's home. I said, I saw the orphan, I could read at 10, orphan, and I put my feet down on the sidewalk, and they had to drag me in. I said, "I'm not an orphan." And so, I thought, well, she's dead somewhere, and then later, some people said, well, it's better you forget about your mother. I said, "But where's my mother?" And I said, "Well, it's better you forget about her. She's dead." So I was told that. So whatever, invented, I don't know what they mean by it. It was all kind of vague. You know, I couldn't find out anything for sure. I wasn't 8 because when I was 8, I remember where I had... when I had a birthday at 8 years old, and so I would still be 7, and my mother did buy a home, but I didn't see her very often. It was very, the circumstances very unhappy and kind of haphazard. I didn't see her very much. The English couple that I told you, they were the couple. They came to live there in the home, but we only had the home for about, maybe, I don't even think it was 3 months. With the English couple, they used to take me to the Egyptian, where they used to have monkeys in cages outside, and they'd put me there early in the morning, and I'd watch the monkeys. Or else they'd take me to the Grum's Chinese. I tried to fit my foot. My feet prints are there now, but I would try to you know, but they had these, what do you call those, high vamped.
Ja visst, Gloria Swanson och Mary Pickford.
Yeah, and I never could get my feet in there. My feet were always too big. Every Saturday and Sunday, I was taken there because they worked during the week. They worked very hard, and they didn't want to be bothered with a child around the house, I think. You know, you can't blame them. They were very tired. And so I was taken there in the morning. I'd wait till the movie opened for 10 cents. I would go in, sit in the first row, and I watched all kinds of movies like Cleopatra with Claude Colbert. That I remembered very well. I'd sit there and I'd see it over and over and over and over again. Till late at night. I was supposed to come out at dark, but of course I didn't know when it was dark, just before dark, because with their conscience they didn't want me to come, you know, at night, but I never knew when it was dark. And besides, it was much nicer there. You know, just seeing the movie over and over and over and over again.
Fick du någonting att äta?
No, it didn't matter. I knew I'd eat when I got home, eat something. Let's see, I don't think there was 12, but there were quite a few. Because I was going to stay with these people from New Orleans, and then suddenly I was taken to the orphan's home. Let's see, so counting the orphan's home. You want me to count all of them? I'll try, let's see. 3. You see, some places I lived, I was taken there at the end of the school term, and they were planning to keep me, but then after the summer they'd had enough, so, or for whatever reason, and then I was taken to another place, so that's why there's so many. I know I went to 6 different grammar schools. You know, that's before you're in the 7th grade. But I'll try to recall. Let's see. I'm to 9 so far. Just a second. 10. But I moved back to a place where I had stayed. So that would make 11 different moves, but 10 counting the orphan's home. 10 different places.
Fine.
Oh, it's such a bright, cheerful place.
According to McCall.
I guess it is now. They've made a lot of improvements. I used to sit up in the window and cry because I'd look over and I'd see RKO, and I knew my mother had worked there and she'd been a cutter there, and all the kids were asleep. I used to sit up in the window and at night, and as I say, when everyone was asleep, and when I went there to work during Clash by Night, I stood there and I wanted to see back to see if I could see the orphanage, but you can't. It's too many sound stages in the way, and office buildings and homes. Oh, by the way, I slept in a room with 27 beds because they say some other number. I know when I read it. Because you had to work your way to the honor bed. You start with 1, well, really the 27th bed, and you had to work your way down and around, and then you could work yourself into the other dormitory, which had fewer beds. But I got there once, but once I was putting on my shoes, and the matron said, "Go downstairs, I'm tying my shoe." She says, "Back to the 27th bed." Well, we lived there. We all had jobs. I had different jobs. I worked for a while. Oh, we'd get up at 6 in the morning, and we did our work before we went to a public school. It's very, well, it's bad to have children from an institution like that go to a public school, because in the public school the kids say, oh, they're from the home. They're from the home. Orphans. And, you know, and you feel, I always tried to go around as if I were one of the other kids, you know, and we all were ashamed, you know, to have been from the orphan's home. Well, I was very tall and thin. I was taller than all the... I was as tall as I am now. And very, very thin. Mm-hmm. At 11, things changed. But, and I never grew any taller, but they always said, oh, she's going to be a very tall girl. Oh, in fact, when I was first going, when I first went to the orphanage, and they pulled me in, you know, they took one arm here and they pulled me in, I kept crying, screaming, I'm not an orphan. And then there was a dining room straight ahead, and there were these 100 kids sitting there eating at 5 o'clock. And then a child, you know, you're ashamed to cry in front of other children. So I stopped right away, and then the children filed out and went to the, they were sitting on the porch after dinner, they usually did that, on the girls' side, and they all thought I was at least 14, because I was so tall. They thought I was going to be in the ad girls, whoever they were. Well, anything tasted good to me. I always, when I was a child, I ate everything, because the families that I lived with, they said they never saw a child who would eat everything. I'd eat anything. Everything. Oh, there was one other family I stayed with for a short time, but it was only for about 3 weeks. I forgot to mention. Makes 11. I liked singing, athletics, English. I hated arithmetic. I never had my mind on it. You know, I was always dreaming out the window.